Welcome to the Ruden Report Zoomcast. I thought we'd have a little fun. I was covering the Greenwich volleyball game on Thursday. Got to see a really good match where the Cardinals stayed undefeated with a 3-0 win over New Canaan. And I was talking to Cornelia Roach from the Cardinals after the match. And we were just talking a little bit about not getting to play in this pandemic year, every team in the league and the top teams. And then I found out that Castro, the setter from Trumbull, the defending state champion, that the two of them were club teammates. So I just figured we'd have a little fun, talk volleyball, talk FCIAC, talk club. And so Cornelia Roach from Greenwich and Castro from Trumbull are joining me. Ladies, thanks a lot.
Of course.
Okay, so where should we start? First of all, you're not going to get to play against each other, unfortunately, this year, but you have in the past. What's the dynamic like? I'm sure you have a lot of club teammates that you play against in the FCIAC season. What's it like? Is there any unusual dynamic to it?
I think it makes it almost more fun, just because when we get to play with each other in the off season, we really get to know everyone and kind of become friends. And Ali and I had a chance to play together this summer, and I know we were really looking forward to getting the opportunity to play each other this year. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen, but I do play on a club at the same club as Elle Sneddon and Lily Stevens, who played at New Canaan, and I get to play them again on Tuesday, but we also played last week. And just
it was a good match too.
It was a great match. It was super fun, and it makes everything really competitive, but competitive in a positive way. And this year we can't hug each other, but and you play, and then afterwards it's like, oh my gosh, you played so well, it was so much fun. It just, makes it even more fun.
Yeah, Courtney and I played in the league over the summer together, and it was really fun because it's also playing girls from your own club. It's like you've played with them for years and you know how they play. So it's really fun to see what they can do, not on your side of the court. And it's also fun, after they get a good play, you kind of whisper through the net. You're like, hey, nice swing or nice dig. Even though you're playing against each other, you're still friends. And it's honestly, it makes it so much more fun. It's after the game, you get together and you're like, oh my God, hi, how have you been? And it's fun. It's just like playing your friends, and it makes it a lot more exciting.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, obviously have a certain bond from your high school team. Most often it's girls you've grown up with. What's the bond like on a club team? Is it similar? Is it different?
I think it's a little different, but because you come from, all around, for us, it's all around Connecticut, and then also a lot of girls from New York. And it's different, but because you get to play each other throughout the season in the FCIAC, or sometimes you meet new people. But it's great because you get to, form these new friendships of people that you may have never had the chance to really get close with. And for me, these are my best friends out of season, and the people that I spend the majority of my time with. So it's definitely a different dynamic, but in a positive way.
What I think is really cool is after a high school season and you play another team, and then you go to a club tryout and you see girls from the team you already played, and you're like, oh, hey, I know you, you're really good. And it's really cool to play on the same court as people you've seen play. And definitely the dynamic is definitely different because in high school it's 2 months, 3 months long, but you're together every day, versus club it's from November to May, and you're only together 3-4 times a week. But then you get to meet people, as Corin said, from all over, and it's you're playing more volleyball with different people around you, which ends up making you a better player, which I think is really cool.
I agree, and I think the aspect of traveling too, with these people, they end up being your roommates, and people that you live with, and even if you're not spending as much time practicing as you would as a high school team, I think you spend more time getting to know them, whether you're road tripping together or staying in the same room, or spending super long days at tournaments together. It's a different type of volleyball, but still awesome.
Yeah, they're both really fun.
Yeah.
What's the difference in competition with club? Obviously I haven't seen any club matches, but obviously they're pretty much like all-star teams. You have to be elite players to play in club. So is club a much higher level of play than, say, FCIAC volleyball?
I think it's really different, and it tends to be super competitive and challenging because you get to play girls from all over the country and, parts of the country that are super strong in volleyball. The Northeast kind of has a reputation, although that's changing now, kind of has a reputation for, not being the best at volleyball compared to like Florida or Texas or Midwest or especially California. But so I think leaving the Northeast or, traveling further into that bubble in like bigger cities like Boston, you get the opportunity to play these super, super high level teams from all over the country. And it creates, and actually from Canada too, and it creates, very competitive, very high level volleyball.
The cool thing about club is a majority of the teams are like the best players from the surrounding high schools. So you really, like, as you said, like an all-star team playing these other all-star teams from around the area. And it's like, so it's so fun going to tournaments far away, like across the country. And like I've been to Minnesota, which has some of the best volleyball in like the United States. And what I think is also cool is you get to go and watch some of the best players in the country at these big tournaments, which you don't really get in high school. And also a big difference is the games are only 3 sets long versus 5-set games. So it's a little bit, I don't say more intense, but like it's a little bit more intense. Like you have less time. Like if you lose the first 2 sets, it's done versus in high school, you can still pick it up, which I think is fun. And you also play a lot. You play games back to back. So the intensity kind of carries over from game to game. And then from day to day, you play back to back, which it's definitely different, but it's a little bit more intense, like within the actual games, I think.
Yeah, I would imagine 3 sets, you have a lower margin for error. So it's puts a little bit more on you. Let's talk a little bit about the FCIAC season now. First of all, just what's the season been like? What's it like wearing masks when you play? I have a hard time. I've been talking to basketball players, and they've been talking if they had to wear masks, there's no way. What about for volleyball?
Look, I mean, I think given the circumstances, we adjust. So we have to practice with them on and we have to play with them on. And at first, it was something that we're kind of like, oh, like, I can't believe we have to do this. It kind of came from a place of frustration, but it really depends how you look at it. Like, yeah, it's, frustrating sometimes when you're running a suicide or you're in the middle of playing 6-on-6 and you're exhausted and you go to take a deep breath and it's just like all mask and you're kind of like on air a little bit. That's tough, but it's, you kind of have to weigh what the other alternative would be, and that would be not having a season at all. And so now it's kind of become part of routine. It's something that I think the majority of my team, if not the entirety of my team, is used to. And it's something that we deal with because we really, really want to play and we really want our season. So we've gotten used to it.
Yeah, it definitely took a little bit of time to adjust. Like I remember our first practice where we played 6-on-6 with a mask on. It was so different. And we were all like, how are we going to do this? But it's literally comes down to practice makes perfect. Like we just kept practicing with them on and it was fine. Like, I mean, in like the end of a 5-set game, like no matter what, you're going to be tired. So it's like, it doesn't help with like a 5-set game necessarily, but at the same time, as Corin said, it's totally like I'd rather play with a mask on than not have a season. So it all panned out.
You're about, if this was a normal year, you're about a little past what would be a third of the season right now. How are things right now compared to a normal year, just in terms of you're in a region, so you're only playing the same teams all the time, you're not playing everybody? I don't know if it makes a difference that you stay on the same side of the court or not, but is there any kind of a different feeling now than if you try to think back to where you were, 7 matches into last year?
Yeah, I think something that I've really started to notice more and more, especially like against our New Canaan game, is the no physical contact rule. Like volleyball, is something about volleyball is like after every point, the huddles are super intense and like, you're slapping people in the back, like giving them high fives, someone gets like an insane hardwood kill, it's usually like you go and there's like a big, it's basically just a big, team hug in the middle of the court. And having to like, do elbows or like air high fives has definitely been that's super weird. And I've noticed more and more as, it feels very different. Like you can't even do the high fives under the net to say good game or good luck and good game to the other team. And so it's the little changes like that I'm starting to really notice.
I feel like based on just playing games in general, like I don't feel like it would be a third of the way through the normal season, because we also played 3 games a week last year versus this year we're only playing 2. So it feels like it's going by just as quickly. Like it doesn't, like, I don't know, I feel like we've played like more than 7 games, and it's like, I don't know, it's like overall it's kind of hard to believe that it's almost over, but also like we still have a few more games. But in the end, it's like I'd again rather play volleyball, and like Corn said with the whole touching thing, like it's such a team sport. Like Traum always tells us that it's like you're literally on this, it's like the only sport where you're on like with your team at the whole time. You're never like intermixing with other like teams, so you're always together. So when you like can't touch, it's kind of difficult. So then you have to find your energy from other sources, like yelling louder and screaming, which is also hard with a mask on. But we figured it out after a while.
What about the whole regional aspect of it? Do you have a sense, does it feel like a normal season where you're seeing, in some cases you've already played a school twice and you're only going to play 5 other teams in your grouping? Does it seem like a normal season?
I mean, it's kind of weird, but in the sense it's created a different type of intensity. So we're playing the same team back to back, and 1 home game, 1 away game. And that, especially with New Canaan, like this upcoming game, it's different from last season where you have intensity, going with game to game, and depending on how you're doing and how your record is, the next gym that you're going into or the next team that comes into your gym, has their own, I guess, preconceived notions about what that game is then going to look like. But getting to play the same team twice, and so, like right after each other, has created a different kind of intensity where it's like added pressure, but in a good way. That fun kind of like nervous energy, just because, if you beat a team, then it's like, okay, they get a second chance and like they're going to be especially fired up because we just beat them. We have to be ready, to bring it and, just have a great game and be on all the time. So I think that's kind of been a positive, having those 2 games right back to back.
Yeah, like in our region, what I really like about it is all 4 of us, all like Trumbull, St. Joe's, Ludlow, and Ward, we're all very solid teams. So it's like every single game is like an intense game. We don't have like a game off. Like there's like anybody could take any game. Like we all have at least 1 loss too, which I think is actually pretty interesting. So it kind of keeps it all going. And like after we lost to Ludlow, Trom told us, she was like, we're lucky that we get to play them again in our own gym now. So you can just go straight in and you can go and pretty much get your revenge from last game. And like, also, as Corin said, you got that added pressure from if you beat a team, you're like, oh, I now have to beat them again, but now they're going to be fired up. So now you have to get even more fired up. And then also like we're playing St. Joe's for the 4th time on Tuesday. And it's like, we know what's coming. And it's like, they could have some like added surprises. We don't know. So it's kind of like, what's going to happen, but you don't. And it's also nice because we don't have to go as far. Because it's like, I remember going to Greenwich, actually. It just takes a while. So it's nice not to have to, because we'd get back at like 10.
You don't have the long road trips as much as the long bus rides.
They're fun on Fridays. Otherwise.
The good thing for you guys too is you're both in different pods.
Yeah.
So, different pods that are equally difficult. So I've talked about this with some soccer coaches. In one region in soccer, there's not a bad team. So every game's a big game. And some of the coaches said, obviously we want to win, but we kind of like the fact that we're tested in every game. For you guys, Cornelia, you've got New Canaan, you've got Darien, you've got West Hill. Ali, you've got Ludlow, you've got St. Joe's. Ward's had injury problems, unfortunately, or they've tailed off a little, but that's due to injury, but they're still good. So you guys have a big match almost every game. It's not like you can take it, not that you would take a match off, but you really can't let your guard down.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost like club in that way, where it's like you get the chance to play these really good teams and play them again. And so they learn your tendencies and you learn theirs, and it creates a super intense environment. It's fun.
And also, like last year, like we lost to West Hill in the FCIAC semifinal, but then we had to wait all the way until the state final to like finally get our revenge. So it's cool to be like, oh, we lost. Oh, we'll just get them in 2 days.
Yeah, exactly.
So the way they have things set up, unfortunately, you guys aren't going to get a chance to see each other on the other side of the court this year. They're going to stay in region. You two may, if you two don't have the top 2 teams in the league, you're both in the top 3, top 4. Certainly, Greenwich is undefeated. Trumbull only 1 loss. What would happen if we saw, since you guys would know better than me, what would happen if we saw a Greenwich-Trumbull match?
I think a Greenwich-Trumbull match would be so much fun.
I was so looking forward to it this
Me
year.
too. Oh my gosh, me too. It's so fun also to see familiar faces across the net. And like, Allie's literally the nicest person on the planet. And so it's so fun to like be competitive with your friends in like a really, good way, like healthy competitive. And I think it would be very intense, very close, nail biter, probably 5 sets, probably 13, 15, 16, 14 type situation. I would not be surprised.
And it's like, I feel like the best games of volleyball are the ones where it's like it's like you get a point and then the other team gets a point. Like it's back and forth and you don't know what's going to happen next. And it's like, I feel like we're pretty even teams, and it would be so much fun just to see like, oh, like how much better my friends have gotten, to see like Corn and Lily and see how much they've improved since the last time I've played with them. I feel like I was really looking forward to it. I was telling Trom, like, we should play them more than once because it's fun. And like,
That's too bad, because I think in retrospect, with buses and stuff, they probably could have had the pod. Each, division winner, you could have had some sort of a round robin, though I'm certainly not going to fault anybody for erring on the side of caution right now. But last question, and I'm actually going to do a column on this, I think, tomorrow. And actually, Cornelia, you and your teammate Lily Salibi kind of planted this in my head Thursday, but I've been hearing it at every game I cover and talk to athletes. I don't think I've been any match or game where an athlete hasn't said to me after, a coach, we're just grateful to be playing. You hear that? Yeah, we might have lost. We're just grateful to be playing. Yeah, we won. We could have lost. We're just grateful to be playing. Has having this opportunity where it looked like it was in question at one point changed your appreciation in any way for playing sports, playing this season?
Absolutely. I mean, volleyball has, been a huge part of my life, and it's something that I like hold very dear to me. And it's like where, I meet my best friends. It's where I spend the majority of my time. It's therapeutic for me. I love it. And so when we were in quarantine and we didn't have the opportunity to play, I have a net in my backyard. I forced all of my siblings. But it was so, it was kind of depressing. I mean, it was like, okay, we don't know when this is going to end. We don't know when I don't know when I'm going to be able to, see my teammates again. I don't know what it's going to look like when I can get back on a court. And fortunately, I was able to play this summer. And that's when Allie and I got to play together, which was super fun. But then, it was up in the air for a while. And after we heard that Ivy Leagues weren't going to have sports, I was really upset because I was like, oh no, I think this means that, for high school, we're probably not going to have a fall season, and I'm going to miss out on my senior season at GHS. But it's just, I think this goes for all athletes. I mean, especially seniors. We're just so grateful that we get the chance to play regardless of mask, regardless of not being able to, touch our teammates. That's just the main takeaway.
I remember I was really upset because I was out in February because I was in a boot because I have Achilles tendonitis in both feet. And then we played in March, and then I found out that we had no more volleyball for who knows how long. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I don't get to play. And I'm not like Corn. I don't have a net or any siblings. So I just peppered against my house like every day. And I was like, I just want to play. And then when club started up again, I was so happy just to be going in and playing volleyball. And then when I found out that the season might be taken away, I was like holding it out on a string in front of us saying, oh, you have it, but it kind of to you, maybe not. So then we were like, can you just tell us if we're going to play or not? Like, I just need a yes or no answer. And then when they brought up the whole idea of outdoor volleyball, I was like, it's such a different game. I was like, okay, but I'd rather play indoor. But then when they were like, okay, we're going to play, we're going to have these regions, I was like, okay, good to me. I told all my friends, I was like, I just want to play one game and I'll be happy. Like, I just want to play volleyball. That's why we had our senior night, our first game was to get that like final hoorah almost. So just anything just to play one more game.
Well, I'm really glad you guys have had a chance to get this season. I hope we get to finish it all. And I wish you guys are certainly lived up to what the expectations would have been about being two really strong teams. So I thought we'd have fun with this. We certainly have. And again, Cornelia Roach, Castro, thanks for taking the time, and best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And that's the Ruden Report Zoomcast for this week, and we'll be back real soon with some more good guests.